dates back to November of 1995. A number of us were attending professional society meetings of the Evangelical Theological Society and the Society of Biblical Literature, which were in Philadelphia that year. And I happened to encounter a couple of people who were working on a website that had Bible study materials and were interested in getting an English translation that they could use for their website, because they were rapidly approaching and past the number of verses they could actually put online in these biblical studies without permission, and the website was only about a year old. I was invited to a dinner with these people and several other people, including Dr. Dan Wallace. We were sitting around talking about how do we solve this problem when the only translation we can use is the King James Bible, and it's kind of hard for a lot of modern readers to follow, and it doesn't fit with a lot of the studies we're using. And we sat around for several hours till well past midnight, talking about what it would take to actually do, how much manpower, how much effort, how much time and resources would be involved in a new translation. And so that was actually the beginning idea of the Net Bible, was a modern translation that we could place on the internet. Once we made the decision to do a new translation, the sponsor of the whole project came up himself with the idea, we're going to have translators do this over. Why don't we have them document their thinking, their reasoning, their evidence for why they do what they do in the translation, and we'll put it in footnotes. So let's have them document why they're doing what they're doing as they do it, so it won't be lost. And that became the origin of the sets of notes that we now have. I think on the scale, we are pretty much in the middle of the spectrum. So what the Net Bible basically did, and I think what makes it unique, is we felt freer to let the translation be understandable and readable because we had those notes. So the translator's notes frequently, in fact almost always, start off with a very word-for-word literal rendering. And this allows you, I suppose if one really wanted to do it, one could recreate a very, very literal translation just from the footnotes in the Net Bible, the translator's notes. And then in the text, we can have things that are more understandable and readable, that makes it suitable for pulpit reading, for personal study and devotion, for regular Bible study, and even for memorization. That's the tension between the dynamic and the formal. And I think we hit a pretty good balance.
So that kind of flexibility is important. I think sometimes we view translations in a very rigid kind of way. And in fact, it's a much more flexible process than people realize, full of judgments. And again, one of the things that the NET does, because it has the notes, it can get away with it. Regardless of what it chooses at the top, you can be aware at the bottom of kind of what the range of possibilities were and what is going on in the context that's helping you go in a particular direction.
We want you to be able to feel confident that we're not hiding things from you, the reader, or we're not covering up things that are difficulties in the text.